As a light worker or a counsellor or a therapist, it's very important to take your client or whoever it is, a friend or somebody in your yoga class or whatever it is, where they're at on their journey. We can't start teaching people things that they aren't ready to learn yet. And if you do and they're not ready, they'll let you know by usually getting quite defensive perhaps, or becoming quite insular, and that's on you. You know, we have to take responsibility for meeting people where they're at, and that's why we have to increase our intuition. It's what our intuition is here for, so that we get that inner feeling to know whether somebody's ready to learn a lesson or not. This is very exciting, so I'm going to go a little bit into this today. Life for me is getting incredibly exciting. I wake up every morning and I'm like, exciting, what am I going to learn today? What lessons are there for me to learn today? And that becomes quite insatiable. Do you remember when you were a child and there used to be this little ping in your belly as you woke up with that bit of excitement, like, oh yes, something new, a new day to go and explore and play? It's like that, except now it's a more mature version, and my play is light working, helping people. But to help people, we have to heal, right? We have to recognise in ourselves and heal our own selves first so that we can heal others. It's like we're at the end of the rope, pulling other people along. But if we're not at the end of the rope, we're not really pulling people very far, are we? We need to do the healing work first, and as and when we do, we become more, I suppose, attuned to other people and where they're at in their journey. Now, intuition is so important, especially for this sort of work. Counselling, therapy, light work, yoga teacher even. I know it may not seem that way for you, but it is that way because you're teaching people essentially about awakening, or if you're counselling, about life and how to deal with life and how to respond with positivity to life. And that's why intuition is so important. Let me give you an example. We use our intuition to guide us and to know, almost like a sixth sense, a feeling as to where somebody's at on their journey. Hear me out. When it comes time for you to teach, because it likely will if you're on this channel, you're going through this process so that you can help others, right? We're way showers. We are teachers in that sense. Obviously don't come in with a teacher mind, because then you'll start creating havoc for yourself and others. Trust me, I've done it. But when it comes time to teach, our intuition is our biggest key. For example, if let's talk about the awakening process as a book. Now, if somebody, let's say your client or a friend or maybe a family member, that you can see something that will help them, right? But if they're on, and let's use the analogy of a book, if they're on chapter 6 of the Awakening book, you'd be a bit of a dick if you started spoiling chapter 10 for them. What do I mean by this? Well, when we teach people, we have to take them where they're at. If they're on chapter 6 of the Awakening, trying to teach them chapter 10, where perhaps you're at, isn't going to help them necessarily. And this is what we use our intuition for. They'll likely get quite defensive if you're teaching them something that's a little bit further than they need. And that's your responsibility, really. Yesterday's video I said, it's their responsibility, but it isn't. As a light worker, it's ours. It's our responsibility to increase our intuition, to get better at what we do, so that we can attune our consciousness to theirs and know where it is that they are in their journey, so that we can really help. If you start teaching chapter 10 to somebody who's learning from chapter 6, you're not doing any help to anyone. Yourself, them, no one. But to get really good at what you're doing, light work, counselling, therapy, you have to take that person who's on chapter 6 at chapter 6. You have to attune your consciousness back to what it was that you learned at chapter 6 if you are to help them. Now, they might not want your help, and that's fine too. That is on them. But if you and we can't control them. Like, it's not like we can't force our help upon them. Like I said yesterday, we give our gift and then that's that. We have to be strong enough to just let our gift sit there, and then we take the hands off the wheel, right? Taking people as they come, really feeling into where they're at in their life on the awakening journey, is very difficult to do with the mind. In fact, near on impossible. And in fact, the mind or the ego will try and make it seem like you're doing good by teaching somebody chapter 10 when they're in chapter 6. It's like, I'm right and I know I'm right, but you're not for them. You're not right for them there where they're at. We have to be able to take them as they come. And this is why I'm talking about intuition being so important, because we need to increase our intuition so that as and when we meet somebody who is perhaps on, even if it's chapter 1, even if they're on chapter 1, we have to attune our consciousness through intuition, almost teleport our consciousness into theirs. I think the saying is put yourself in their shoes, right? You have to really do that and teach them, bring your vibration, shall we say, down, to teach them on that level or to converse on that level, so that they're ready to and open to understanding what you mean. If they're vibrating at chapter 6, I hope we can speak like this, and you're vibrating at chapter 10, and you start teaching them this chapter 10 stuff, it's not going to make any sense to them. And this is why, and I'm doing this in my life now, it's all about straight talk. And this can be good sadhana for people, especially if you're beginning to start teaching people. Straight talking, meaning attune yourself to where they are and just talk dead straight, no flowery words. And if it can't be, for me, I'm learning this big style, if it can't be understood by a child, don't say it. Really, no point, don't bother. But this is what's getting exciting in my life, and I'm sure in yours, as we begin to wake up and begin to start actually becoming the light worker that we are born to be. Because it's like, every moment, even though it feels bad, say something bad happens and it feels like a hurdle, it is a hurdle. But the exciting part of it is we can go very negative with it, can't we? We can go very negative in our consciousness if we make a mistake. But life's about making mistakes. We don't realise we're making a mistake until we realise we've made a mistake, right? But that's the exciting bit. That's what really begins to change, well, it's for changing for me. It's like, I'm excited to make mistakes. Like, I can't wait. I'm waking up, I'm like, yes! Because when I make a mistake, I learn. And I'll never make that same mistake again. Well, I might, if I enjoyed it enough the first time. But it's like, yeah, it's really difficult to explain, but it's like I love sacrificing myself to a mistake. I love laying myself down, putting my head on the chopping block, and I'm like, oh my god, look, my head's rolling. Great. I think this is why, I think it's, is it Shiva? I don't know if it's Shiva, but Shiva's the goddess. It might be Shiva, I don't know, who's got the guy's head in his hand, keeps chopping, and that's what we're talking about. Cutting people's heads off, meaning our head, meaning our ego, by making mistakes, by learning. Our ego might put us into a situation where we teach from the wrong chapter because we know we're right. But if they're not ready to hear that, then put your head in the chopping block, get ready. You've just made a mistake, and that's fine, that's beautiful, it's insatiable, I relish mistakes, and I can't wait to make some more. Anyway, if you wish, down below there's a free breathing practice that you're more than welcome to engage with. It will oxygenate your body, it feels lovely, you'll feel it oxygenating your body as you do that, it'll make you feel light inside. And of course down below, if you're going through an awakening process, perhaps you're not teaching yet, but you're going through an awakening process and you want some help, or you feel a bit lost or stuck, then down below there's a free community. You're more than welcome to join us there. I'll never charge you for it, of course, it's free. And again, thank you for the people in that community who are giving, and not asking for anything back. I really appreciate it, I love it, I think it's great, because that's what this journey is about. I say it again, this journey is about obviously self-service first, so that we can serve others from our heart, start speaking the language of our soul. But, like I'm learning, straight talking. Our soul's language doesn't have to be big words, flowery. Don't need to speak in tongues. We just need to be honest, straight and true. if we can. Alright, thanks for watching, and of course, have a great day.